Advancing your career requires more than just simply doing a good job. That's obviously required. But today I want to talk about your professional brand. Before we can talk about personal and professional branding, we have to make a distinction between reputation and professional branding. Your reputation is basically what other people believe about you. It's a collection of their beliefs, their opinions that are based on what your actual behaviors and actions are. But ultimately, your reputation is somewhat out of your hands. Let me give you an example. Let's say you are always late for meetings. Every meeting you go to, you're 5 minutes late or whatever. Your reputation is of someone who is always late for meetings. Now you can change your behavior. You can start showing up to meetings on time. You can be even early, but your reputation may still be that of somebody who is always late to a meeting. It takes a long time to change that reputation. Your professional brand, by comparison, is how you want to show up towards everyone else. It is far more intentional and completely within your control to influence. Look at your reputation as being a sign of your credibility and your branding as being how you want to be visible and a projection of your values onto the world. Let me give you a personal example. I was working in this one corporate job and the dress code for the office was business casual, so just a normal office attire. And the leadership team and the managers were all wearing jackets or suits. And I decided that I was going to start wearing a tie to change my image at the company. Now, my work didn't change, my reputation was the same. I was still being seen as somebody who was doing a good job. But I was intentionally changing how I showed up in the office to look and appear as though I was more aligned with what the leadership team and what the managers were doing, and thus put myself in a position where they could imagine me being in a leadership role. Now, this is just a simple example, and I hope it illustrates the point that this is something that you could have control over. Now, in this case, it was a piece of clothing that I changed, but your personal brand is more than just what you wear and how you show up physically. It's also how you communicate, what sort of topics you're going to talk about, what sort of values you want to emphasize, what are the skills that you are going to draw attention to when you're talking to people. It's all these things. Now, to be clear, I am not advocating to be inauthentic or show up in a way that you're not, or in the worst case scenario, lie about what you believe in or what you stand for. Rather, this is about identifying the things that you are actually good at and areas that you want to grow into so that other people around you start identifying you as having those characteristics. So how do you build your professional brand? The first thing you want to do is learn what is the thing that drives you. Consider the following questions. What motivates you to get up and go to work in the morning? What skills or talents are you most proud of? For that matter, what skills are you curious about, but you haven't had a chance to build those skills yet? What kind of tasks or projects energize you? What are some subjects that you're interested in? In 10 years' time, what do you hope to have contributed to the world? And what are some of the characteristics of people you admire have in common with each other? Write down these answers and start looking for patterns. What you want to be looking for is anywhere there's an overlap, where certain skills or interests are showing up multiple times. These are the areas that either you're already good at and you're already passionate about, or that they're areas that you are interested in, you're already engaged. There's something that drives you towards those spots. And hang on to this list because we're going to use it in the next section. The second thing you want to do is start aligning with the organization's goals. So consider, what is the company actually trying to achieve? What are their goals and values? Look at the people who are successful in the company and what do they do? What are the kinds of skills that they show on the job and that are being admired? Now you want to look at the overlap between the areas that you're already passionate and good in, that we identified earlier, and what the company's trying to do and what the values and skills that they are promoting, and look for the overlap in those areas. These are the areas that you want to spend a bit more time to lean in on and develop further. And if they're areas that you're curious about, but you're not necessarily skilled at, well, then now you know these are areas that you can spend more time developing. One thing that is often helpful at this point is to identify a word that symbolizes here I'm going to try to navigate around this. A word that symbolizes what you're trying to achieve. So this could be something as simple as leadership or creativity or adaptability. Pick your word. The point is that it should be symbolic of the area that you want to move into. So you could always ask, does this skill that I'm looking to develop help me be a better leader? Or does it help me be more creative or productive? It just allows you to focus your learning onto the area that is most important. Next thing you want to do is identify who your stakeholders are going to be. Basically, who is the audience you're actually going to be trying to get in front of? Consider this like selling a product in a way. If no one knows the product exists, there's nobody there who will buy it. So you want to make sure you know who your audience is. You want to start by identifying who in the organization are people that would be most useful to you as you advance. So these could be key leaders in the organization, people in senior leadership positions. It could also be influencers within certain departments. Maybe they're particular individuals who have a lot of power, maybe soft power, not necessarily a formal power. Identify people who are voices of authority within certain groups, and maybe even some technical experts within particular areas that would be good to know and might be able to connect you to the right people. Also, talk to your boss or a mentor to figure out who else you need to be speaking to, because they may have some insights as to contacts that you should consider on your list. Now, this list doesn't have to be complete or necessarily exhaustive. It's just a starting point. Get a bunch of names down first, and then you can start getting in front of these people and getting noticed. Now we're at the final step, and this is where you make yourself visible. Start working your way through that list. How you do this is up to you. There's no one way that's correct or best, but some people will set up one-on-one meetings with these key stakeholders. Some people will attend events that they're also attending. There may be other activities that you could volunteer for that will put you in the same space as these people. Whatever it is, the goal is to get yourself in the orbit of your stakeholders. The kinds of conversations you want to set up, you want to try to, first off, understand what are the skills that they value in their role or at the company. Use it as an opportunity to learn about what you need to be focusing on. Or maybe it's a way to connect with them on shared values or shared interests. That would be a way of allowing you to align yourself with what they think is important. Or maybe it's a chance for you to volunteer your service and help solve a problem that they're facing. Allow you the opportunity to demonstrate your skills so that they can see what you can do, and thus think about you when they're looking for people to promote or people to recommend, or people they may call on for future opportunities. Furthermore, by connecting with these people, you also start learning more about what are the factors and characteristics that you need to include in your professional brand. They may be able to identify skills or attributes that you were not aware of or hadn't thought of. So use these opportunities when you connect to further refine what your brand is, to make yourself more aligned with what the company is looking for and how you can be a best fit for that. Leadership branding is not about promotion. It's about communicating in a way that allows you to move more effectively towards your career goals or your professional goals. Okay, so question for you. What is a word that you would like to define your personal or professional brand? Let me know in the comments below. And if you're interested in carrying on this conversation, then let's chat. Link is in the bio. My name is Matthew Devine. I'm a leadership coach based in Toronto, Canada. And until next time, let's get to work.